What's up, guys? Fox Hunter here, and we are taking another look at the brand new New England update. We had a new live stream release last night that covered some of the gameplay, as well as answered some questions from the community. I think the one thing everybody was waiting for during this live stream was the news about the release date, and let's hear about it from Jaxie Beard himself.
Now, the elephant in the room. When's it coming out? Well, let me tell you this. I'm not allowed to tell you. No, but seriously. We have a major desire with all of our releases to sim ship. It's a driving force for our team. And I can tell you that it's like celebration day when we finally get that confirmation. And I can confirm that we will have a sim ship for this, my friends. We will. All platforms, all at once, just as we want it to be. We want this with every release. But our desire to do that sets us back a little bit. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's a lot of things that I can't really get into. A lot of boxes we got to tick, a lot of I's we got to cross and T's we got to dot in order to make these things happen. And so there's just a few things that still need to happen. So I don't get to announce a date here on stream.
That's right. We don't have one yet. However, the good news is that when it is released, it will be released simultaneously across all platforms. That means nobody's going to be left for wanting, and everybody will get the map at the same time. And since the Granite update promises 60 frames per second on consoles like PS5, Xbox, whatever you play, it will make it a much more enjoyable experience for console gamers. Now, I know there's a lot of exciting new updates coming out with this release that I did not touch on in my last video. There's a couple of things that have the community incredibly excited, the least of which is not a brand new weapon, which is the Patriot, a modern .50 caliber break-action muzzleloader that, according to the lore in the game, was built in New Hampshire, where the map is currently based. So I think that's a really cool touch that they included that as part of the lore. So let's talk weapons cosmetics, because I know I didn't cover this in my last video. For me, weapon cosmetics and customization isn't really that important. I particularly like the standard weapons in the game. I think they look very nice. But I know a lot of people in the community were looking for that personalization touch, and this will definitely give that to them. So the really neat thing about this is that some of the skins are affiliated with individual maps. For example, you'll get a particular camo style that is associated with Mississippi Acres, or other maps like Silver Ridge Peaks or Medvedev. But the other really neat thing about it is that these are layerable. And what that means is there's 3 cosmetic slots, and you can take any combination, whether it is a single color, a camo color, a metal color, a matte finish, and you can put it in 3 different zones on your weapon. So for example, the pump and the stock on a shotgun can be a camo color, and the barrel could be a flat matte or metallic color. To have customization of that degree really creates that sense of personalization I think a lot of the community members has been hungering for. Another thing Jaxie Beard talked about was improvements to the performance of the game across all the maps, but particularly the teleportation issues within Silver Ridge Peaks. I know that's been problematic for a lot of players, especially me, because right now, if you haven't seen my 2 previous videos, I am currently at war with the mountain lions on the map, and so seeing them teleport hither, thither, and yon has been frustrating, to say the least. And since we're on the subject of mountain lions, I wonder if because they're getting an update to their drink zone time, which we all know currently overlaps with the black bear drink time, which makes it almost impossible to have a efficient Great One grind going, they're updating the mountain lion drink time to 0000 to 0300, or midnight to 3 a.m. And hopefully with that, I wonder if they're going to fix any of the bug issues with the mountain lions themselves. As you know, they tend to do push-ups, they tend to freeze when they're fleeing, and to fix that would really improve the quality of those types of hunts. That should improve the quality of your Great One bear grinding as well. But I wonder if with this patch, we're going to see some fixes to some of their behavioral twitches and things like that. Now, one of the things Jaxie did address was a question posed in chat about whether or not the Hunter Call of the Wild will ever be a cross-platform game. And according to Jaxie, the current age of the engine used to build the game and the build itself is too old to really allow for cross-platforming. So it doesn't look like that's ever going to be a upgrade that we will see. Another question that was posed about whether or not cross progression would be possible in the game. And what I assume that means is that if you log into your account on Steam, play for a while, and then log into your account on, say, Xbox, whether or not it will save your progress. And while Jaxie was not knowledgeable enough to really speak to this because he hadn't posed this question to the developers, for the same reasons that it is unlikely the Hunter Call of the Wild will ever be cross-platform, it will likely never be cross-progression. But that still remains to be seen. I mean, there's still a lot of opportunity to explore and expand, and it sounds like right now they just don't have the bandwidth or the manpower to explore these options. Who knows what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years, however, when technology continues to advance, and we'll see. Now, while Jaxie did a really excellent job walking us through the new features yet again, I did want to point out 2 really neat things that were suggested by community members during the live stream. As it stands currently, we have a diverse variety of trophy mounts in our lodges that we can use to display animals. We have everything from head mounts, we have the multi-mounts, we have the single mounts. And while we have a plethora of ways to display our animals, somebody brought up the idea that why couldn't we have rugs? I think Jaxie initially mentioned it in the video because he came into one of the cabins and pointed out one of the rugs on the walls. But the community jumped on that, and wouldn't it be really neat to taxidermize, say, a black bear and mount it as a rug on a wall? I think that would be a really, really neat addition to trophy lodges in the future, and something I really hope EW pays attention to. And another person suggested the idea of tracer bullets for night hunts. Now, we already have tracers for arrows, which I have yet to experiment with, but I've seen other hunters like Hunter DD33 use them on his videos, and I gotta say, they look super helpful for when you're learning your shot placement. But tracer bullets for night hunts would be really awesome as well. I think that would be very beneficial to things like great one bear hunts, since their drink times are at night. As far as the aesthetics in the game, I mentioned this in my previous video that having lived in the New England area, I really appreciated that the map has a very different feel from places like Layton Lakes, Park Fernando, even Silver Ridge Peaks, which is probably the most popular map in the game currently. Because of the way the water has been introduced on this new region, we don't have a lot of huge lakes that you have to run thousands of miles, it seems, to get around in order to get to your harvested animals. And by itself creates a brand new mystique that I think a lot of players will enjoy. Take a look at some of the scenes that Jaxie had walked us through in this latest live stream. It is absolutely amazing, and this is very much exactly what you would see in New England up there. You'll have a lot of small lakes, you'll have a lot of small streams, brooks, creeks, nothing major until you really get into the New York Harbor area and the Hudson River. But everything northeast of there is far more subdued. And it's just nice to see that different aesthetic. To me, aesthetics are important in the game because it creates that sense of immersion. And I think for me personally, it's one of the more exciting aspects about this brand new update. With the aesthetics comes brand new skins for 3 of our animals, or really touch-ups, I should say, on one of them at least. And that would be the whitetail deer, which Jaxie did show off in this video. I didn't notice too much of a difference. There's definitely more of a denseness to the fur. And I did see that this looks to be a brand new piebald pattern that I haven't found in the game yet. And I have quite a few piebalds already. So I'm hoping we do see some diversity in the piebald patterning. And this is just an indication of that. But really significant updates to the animal aesthetics are going to be, of course, the great one moose and also the red fox. And for those of you who are questioning the red fox rework, well, consider this.
You got me shaking, yeah, I feel the fever coming on. Boy, you know you're all I want.
Yeah, probably a good thing. I like to compare it to Sonic with teeth and Sonic without teeth. But not only this, there's also the backfilling of species across all maps. One of the things I'm most excited about is to find things like raccoons in the Pacific Northwest. It'll create a much more dynamic hunting experience for all involved. Another part of the aesthetics that is really important to me personally are the auditory aesthetics. I have an audio processing challenge, and sometimes I hear things differently than other people do. And so when I hear auditory cues, it's really important for me to pay attention to them. And even though these are just animal calls, I really like the fact that they are diversifying the different types of calls that animals produce. So for example, the few times we heard the moose calling in Jaxie's playthrough, they sounded different. They weren't the same one over and over again. There were some variants to them, which I really appreciate, and I think really helps with that immersive quality of the game. And of course, the live stream would not have been complete without yet another look at the Great One Moose models. They look amazing. I still love the level of detail. I mean, even the waddle, that gets me every time. The fact that as it goes through its walk cycle, all of these parts on the animal are moving and they're not stationary anymore, which is incredibly awesome to see. Now, in the last look at them, when I commented on the previous live stream, I have to admit that the spruce and the speckled really drew my attention, not necessarily for the fur color, but because they were paired with antler styles that I really, really liked. I've made it very clear that the atypical rack with the very twiggy, spidery kind of look is not my favorite. It was not what I was expecting for a Great One Moose, but the other models that have the big, broad paddles are incredible. And I still hope that we get a Great One rack style that has foliage in it. That is a feature that I really, really love about the red deer. I think it really does something for the animal's personality. And one of the things Jaxie has mentioned in both the streams that I have covered is that this is a development build and to take things with a grain of salt, and that other designs, other bits of input could be forthcoming with the full release. So I'm really hoping to see a Great One rack style that has the foliage similar to the red deer rack. But I gotta say, when he spawned in the ashen, my heart skipped a beat. There's something about the way the animal is designed with the battle scars, the rough patches of fur, that really show this animal has lived a life. And I really, really appreciate the aesthetic of that. I think I've made it clear in my commentary that for me, the most important aspect of this game is the aesthetic, is the immersive nature of it. I've often joked that if I light a pine-scented candle and I'm playing in Leighton Lakes, it really feels like I am there, because I will also have the aesthetic of the smell, as on top of the wind sounds, the water sounds, the animal calls, the crashing through the underbrush as I often do. It really just draws you in. But having a Great One that shows signs of having lived and having had life experience makes me respect the animal all the more. Makes me think that when I take this animal's life, when I harvest it, I am ending not just a pixelated graphic on a screen, but I'm ending a legacy, a life lived. And so that is a pretty powerful thing. And that's one of the things that I really, really love about the Hunter Call of the Wild, is because not only does it draw you in with the beauty of nature, but also the lore. They talk about the regions, some of the things that are historically valuable to those places, and you get a real sense of place. There's a real sense of story here, and the animals live as part of that story. So now that I've gotten all mushy with it, I think this is going to be an incredible update still. We're waiting on the edge of my seat to see an announcement of when it's going to release, because I would like to be one of the first to bring you brand new content and show you the new map when it comes out. Again, as somebody who's lived in the New England area, I think the majesty of the place is really captured here, and I would like to be one of the first to bring that to you. Well, guys, that's going to do it for me today. I know there's so much more I could have talked about with regard to this update. I didn't even touch on the brand new harvest screen, but I did want to say real quick that I appreciate very much that it's no longer translucent, that it has an opaque background. That'll make it very easy for me when I'm making thumbnails for my videos. So there's just so much we could go on and on about. But I encourage you to check out Expansive Worlds and keep up with them on their socials. Everything from Facebook, YouTube, Discord, Twitch, just to keep an eye out for those updates. And when that release date drops, I know I will be. And I want to say thank you again so much for watching my video. I know I'm kind of still new to this YouTube thing, but I'm really enjoying it. And it's the support from the community that's making me want to create new content. So if you enjoy coming along on these adventures or these adventure reviews, please consider dropping a like and subscribing below. You can also ring a bell for when new content drops. And even if you don't, I don't mind having you along on my adventures anyway. So I will see you on our next adventure. Bye.